Good morning, it's at Love Clark. Now, how do you, um, how do you guys deal with your, um, some of you guys got to get down and, you know, uh, depressed or sad or uncertain, even sick at times. I have most of those problems, uh, a lot of times because being in what they call the truth or whatever that really entails, being a person that wants to get to the bottom of the truth and willing to accept the truths of our symboled and sign ruled society and those kind of things, and the nature of how widespread, gross, disgusting, murderous, vile as the world and people, and just all these problems, plus dealing with you get to be you're an outcasted, and you get to be like branded, and all those kind of things. But how does other people deal with that? Because it gets sad after a while when you factor in all this false crap, all this phony baloney, bell bull crap, right? And all this Babylon mixed, pushed together, merged, cultures, religions, and all that stuff. And I don't know, just it. Sometimes I know it's got to get other people down, and then the future. Not only that, if you believe that your future is going to get brighter, yeah, good luck. And then you're looking for a miracle, which would be an antichrist scenario, so, performing false miracles. So every case points towards, doom. Whether you look at it on every case points towards doom. Whether you look at it on prophecy level, spiritual level, if you just look at people's minds, the way the society's deteriorated, and our mindsets, our values, our core values, our military. What's the point of doing these things? And then you look at all the production of basically it's all signs. Even a person that doesn't believe in gods or anything of spiritual nature or prophecy or any of that, they do not have to read prophecy to see what's going on, in which direction in the world is headed in. So all signs point towards, pretty dark times up ahead. There needs to be a big, I don't want to call it a revival, because I don't want people to go back to their churches, back to the puke, because it's been revival after revival, and they don't, quote unquote revival. They go to their churches. They bring in some people that promised, they promised to obey God and their Jesus and stuff, and then next thing these thousands of people, most of them, the next day they're done, and then a certain number by the end of the week, into the halfway through the month, or the end of the month, or probably the longer sticker honors, by the end of the year they'll be done, and they'll be right back where they were, and they forgot all about their pledge to God, which she says not to make any pledges. Excuse me. So these kind of things can get people down, and then realizing that the whole society's tricked, and that there's no hope for anything, And I know our hope is supposed to be in God, and in a light at the end of the tunnel, and that the human spirit, that has the God spirit combined with it, can overcome and make it through this. And however it's going to work out, it's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. But for the people that has to about to raise their kids in the next 10 years, I don't have much faith in it. And you're going to come, I know people are going to say, well, ye have little faith in all these kind of things. It's not that I have little faith, okay? I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it as in faith, like a blind faith. I don't have much, I don't have much faith in this that this is going to get brighter anytime soon. It's going to take a while down the road, but this is every balance of power. All the nations are being. It is war, and it's probably because every balance of power, okay, every seat of power, every place has rioting going on, or they're overloaded with immigrants, or their borders are insecure, or they're in transition, from one state to another. Everything's all the nations are getting in a point where they're all at this stage where they're going to go, okay, they're going to be in a situation where they're open to the next step. However they have to do it, whether it's overthrow dictators, offer crazy deals, like this, Syrian refugee idea with Bill Clinton. How dare you? How dare you want to bring more people here from Syria and give them jobs working when there's people here that want jobs working, okay? My own son included is going to have a child if all's willing, and guess what? Guess what? Not one job. He's looked everywhere, not one job, okay? There's not jobs for us. What makes us want to care about anything you have to say, even and to this point, even if the job didn't go to my son or white people in general, because just Americans would be better than Syrians. And especially, why don't you go give some of those Black Lives Matter people that you're so popular with? Why don't you give them people those jobs? Since you're so close to them, instead of some Syrian refugees. And I bet you those Black Lives Matter would agree that you need to keep those jobs home. And if you gave these fools some jobs, maybe they wouldn't be going out having to cause all this extra time, protest over things that are irrelevant, exaggerated numbers, puppets to George Soros, and stop doing that, because these people are definitely on the corner all day full-time protesters. They either need a full-time job or they don't work, or they just want a handout. I don't want to sound so stereotypical, but sometimes stereotypes fit. Okay. Now, what we want to talk about though is that fact alone too is there's people here need jobs, and Bill Clinton is going around talking about bringing Syrians here to give them jobs, provide them jobs, because, and then he names all these great talents that they're highly talented people, and this and that, and he just goes on to praise the Syrian people, and it's like, he's insult to American people want to work. And there's a lot of assholes that say, well, you don't want to do the jobs they do, Mexican jobs and those kind of things. Try me, because I've done most of them, and about the only white person that stayed with it, as long as I did. You can ask the people I worked for if I didn't work just as hard, if not harder, than some of those border brothers. Anyway, it's just it irritates me to no end. Once you give these jobs that you're going to give these Syrians to these Black Lives Matter people, and they want to have time to stand on the corner like the border brothers do, which actually the border brothers get something done and do actual jobs. These people just cause trouble, okay, with false numbers, and it's controlled opposition. It is pulling on the heartstrings of America, pulling on the fist strings of America, so to say, because you're not just pulling on the hearts of anyone with these people. They're pulling on the fist strings. They want people to fight. So these statistics, this Black Lives Matter is bullshit, because there's more white people being killed by cops in general, are killed by cops, than blacks on the numbers. The numbers are lying. Look at the Department of Justice numbers, and they're going to tell you the truth, that these are basically, it's going to show these numbers the Black Lives Matter movement's doing is lies. That's what it is, lies. I'm not going to exaggerate. If I was going to investigate something and report what's true, then that's what I report. So, it's exaggeration, gross exaggeration. And for black people not to look into this for themselves, at a certain point, and see the facts from fiction. And if you know the facts, then you should step away from the movement, or if you know the facts, then you need to speak up or speak out against it, or tell the truth about the numbers, because you're just leading your people on, and you might think it's okay to tell a white lie or a black lie in this matter. Tell one of these lies to keep this lie from your people, because it's in the long run, it's going to help you guys meet your goals, which making you look like victims is going to prop you up further and further up, see, to where you get all what you want, okay, without the least amount of real work. No, don't believe these black lies, okay? All lives do matter. No, they don't. You think the child molesters and stuff down the streets lives matter? No. So all lives don't matter either. They just don't. All lives don't matter, but I'm not saying black lives don't matter. I'm not saying white lives don't matter. I'm not saying Hispanic lives or Asian lives don't matter. None of that stuff. But I'm saying I don't believe all lives matter either. So that's not true. But some people I think should be executed. People that hurt kids, they should die. But other than that, it's it's a sad situation when there's people clamoring for jobs, would love to work a lot of times here. I'm disabled, so it don't matter for me, but I'm talking for the other people that I know. That's bullshit. When you want, Bill Clinton had proposed for Hillary to bring in a 500% increase in Syrian refugees to this country so they can put them to work rebuilding houses over in Detroit, and they can have jobs. The people here want jobs. So I don't understand this bullshit you're trying to pull, Bill and Team Hillbilly. But that's not American. You're not looking out for the Americans, the homeborn Americans, or born abroad Americans. You're not looking out for us first, and that's what you need to be doing. If you're not looking out for us first, why should we put you first when we think about you to vote? Okay? Think about that, people, when you go to vote. It doesn't matter, you know. Am I the Godhead, and I can really see, you know, into places others can't, in the hearts and minds of men? To a certain degree, we can, but not as deep as the Father or the Godhead. Okay, the I Am, because if that's the case, then we wouldn't have this conversation. But I can't. So we can't we can't see their hearts fully, you know. But we don't have to not use our brain as well. So I mean, common sense would tell you, you know, that it's a rigged reality. Like I said, if I could see into it fully, then I could tell you, you know, 100% guaranteed. But I have no one can give you that kind of guarantee unless they showed it all on paper and exposed it all, you know, out. But controlled media, controlled religion, you know, controlled in government, all these people on government aid. And then they don't realize, they're talking about, well, if we don't do something soon, it's going to be a socialist or a socialist communist country or something. It already is, man. You just think, it's just got a makeup on the cover, okay? Covering up, it's cover up. Make it look pretty on the outside, like it's still the good old America, you know. Make you think that it is, really. On the inside, the guts of it, it's so communist. You just don't know. You think it's you know what? There's people in Russia with actually more rights than here. And yes, there's crazy repercussions for breaking the laws and stuff like that, and certain things their state can do and cannot do. But I believe there's more rights there than there is here, because there's so many rules against that's 1996 with Marilyn Manson. You know, anti-God, anti-people. Now you've gone too far. Here's your antichrist superstar, because everyone wants anti-this and anti-that. And next thing you know, you can't do anything. You can't do anything because everyone's bitched and whined and cried, and to try to please everyone, which they should realize you can't please everyone, but no, they haven't learned that rule. They try to please everyone, and they go to please everyone, make a rule against everything. The next thing you know, nobody can do anything, and everyone's fighting over which rule is more important, whose civil rights are affected more. You know, a transgender or a black man or Asian, or how about a Syrian refugee? You know. Alright, it's at Love Clark. I don't know what else to talk about. This is just venting a little bit and asking, you know, you ever get down, what do you guys do? Do you try to watch something funny, watch comedy, you know, go drink? You know, I'm not going to go drink because I'm a recovered alcoholic. You know, what do? Do you go, I don't know, I know substance, go take a sleeping pill. You know, I mean, if you're reading and if you watch God's stuff, you know, you're studying scriptures and things that are set apart for the, you know, for the betterment of your spirit, and you do that all day, combined with like you know, videos, you know, showing how the truth is, and I'm not talking about a lot of these real out of the world conspiracy theories, because I've cut all that back a long time ago. A couple of years back, I learned how to figure out which ones were just complete, utter nonsense. But when you first start to listen, if you're gullible enough, you can get caught up in some crazy people. Anyway, that's the thing is, like, what do you guys do? You write? I mean, because I can't seem to, like, okay, like, maybe I should listen to the type of news I listen to and the people I listen to later in the day and enjoy something good, because I know, like, I start off by the middle or the end of the day, I'm depressed because it's such horrible news all the time, bad news, and a sad state of affairs and a state of truth, that I'm completely disemboweled from anything that seems like joy, you know. Other than my own children, it's only joy, you know. And maybe I'm bogging myself down with too much information, and maybe I shouldn't let it bother me. You know, my wife tells me all the time, she says, if the things that are going to be, let them be. Let them be, and if it happens, it happens. You know, if things happen, they happen. And try to know and prepare for it, but other than that, leave it there. And, you know, I know I should probably listen to my wife, but it's hard for me because I'm the one out here studying this kind of stuff and studying and trying to be the priest here, you know, trying to be the guide for the household here. And it's important for me to understand every aspect I can. You know, I'm 36 years old. I'm on the, you know, I'm getting up to 40, and then it's, you know, the end of my life, basically. Not the end of it, but, you know, that's just start to, you know, you start to tear down due to the amount of partying and stuff I've done in the past and in my early years. When I'm probably already 40 physically, you know, who knows? Some of you guys might think 50. I don't care, because I know inside is what matters, and you know, I can restore all things, and you know, that just doesn't matter. But you know, I'm trying to think of what to do to keep myself from getting down during the day, and some of it's due to my last kid in the house went to, you know, off to kindergarten, you know, so there's no kids in the house during the day. That's why you see me with extra time also, and people wonder, why do you have so much extra time on your hand? That's because I'm disabled, you know. They say, why don't you go out and look for a job or do something, you know, like, there's the activities I'd love to do, and I can't do it. You know, I just can't. I can't do it. Certain things I can do, but I'm not going to talk about my disability right now. And I don't want to talk much more about that. But I want to talk about is just like I said, you know, what you guys think we should do, or I should do? Maybe suggestions of what you do. Give me ideas, different things to try out. Other than that, I might just end up cutting myself off from hearing any more conspiracy theorist or secret society based stuff, because it's almost like I just want to close my ears now and just, I don't want to hear no more, I don't want to hear no more, I don't want to hear no more, you know, kind of like want to be in denial again. And it's too late for that, because once you take that pill, you can't go back. You can't go back and take the other pill. You know? So, not as if I want to be in a state of denial, I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, you know? Not that I don't want to deny it. It's going to happen. Things are going to happen. That the dark ages are coming. This decline of America is real. They want to act like it's not going down. They want to act so bad like this country is not going down, that it's still, staying afloat. And I think it sank a while back, and they're just pretending with cosmetics. Put up some makeup, inflation, and all these things they do, and with their media, and they control world media too. I mean, the people with the big bank and the big bucks control the big cameras, controls the world. America's been controlling the world in cooperation with other countries, believe that, for money or favors or this or that. That's all the way of take without no give, freely giving. That's what God wants people to do, freely give sometimes. Because the way of Satan is always just take and never give. Or it's a take and it's a give, but it's never freely given. It's always something in exchange back. So that's a sad state too, and people can't just and everyone's so programmed, and the black community has gotten really programmed, and they don't care anymore. They don't care. They are a lot of them are abandoning what their fathers and mothers taught them about God, and not to be bowing down to these Illuminati masters, because this is what these people in the public that just aren't barely in the know, they think these people flashing up these signs in the public that there's some big people in the Illuminati. And they're not. These are lower level goons. These are goons. These are what we call puppets. They're just people that are told what to do for other people's kicks, entertainment, to give message, to corrupt, and all these types of things. The black community is dying right alongside the white community. And who's blaming who? Everybody's pointing the finger at someone else. Everybody. There's always someone else to blame. White community wants to blame Obama and other races or other people because they think we need to check our white privilege. When they have a black privilege, they don't recognize with this extra incentives for blacks, this for blacks, that for blacks, this for blacks. You got your extra, You don't recognize good things. You don't recognize good things given to you. You don't appreciate it. You don't even see what you got. There's people who gone to Africa and they come back and they hated the place. They hated it. And thank God that their ancestors was taken, whatever way it means. Even slavery. And suffered, so he could be born in a country that as good as it was for him, rather than being born there. And thank God the rest of his life for it. So I know it's going to a racial thing, but it's really not supposed to be racial. It's supposed to show that we can overcome. We can overcome racial boundaries when it's the best for the whole. And if the whites want to feed more into their propaganda towards racial divide, and the blacks want to do it the same way, and they don't realize there's puppets on top. There's the puppets. They're puppets, and then there's puppets on top of them that are bigger puppets, and then bigger puppets, and the string goes all the way up to one eye. Alright, so one eye, one bloody eye, one blinded bloody eye, filled up with a bunch of, I don't know, butt tampons. I know that sounds disgusting, but the strings are coming out of the eye, so I don't know what other holes, or round things that strings come out of. Now, yes, so I'm talking about, menstrual cycle things, and women get turned off by that. And I'm sorry you're turned off by your own issues. You should be more comfortable with that. Maybe you're not. Sorry if that's, offensive or something. Because, God uses examples, menstrual examples all the time in your Bible. So, if you're insulted by me, well, that doesn't matter. But if you're insulted by God, then you got something to take up with God. So, I'm trying to think. Maybe I should do some art. But then by the time I get, like I said, I get to the point where I listen to the things I listen to, and it's never really good news. And it's, it's so hopelessly like, just what do we do? What can we do? And everything is so tricked and controlled and unsure that, it's like by the time I want to, stop listening and learning and sharing with other people on here, then if I try to want to go do some artwork or do something like that I like to do, I can't enjoy myself because my day's ruined. My inspiration gets ruined. My care to. I get to the point where I'm like, why should I care about art and drawing and different things for my own, just for my own enjoyment, pure entertainment, when there's so much bad going on? Then I sit there and dwell on that the rest of the day, and it just doesn't do much to uplift, other than reminding myself that thank God every day that my eyes are open and that I'm not blind to what's going on, and I am learning, the translations of the scripture in a much better original detail, and being disassociated with, detached from Christianity is so much freedom, because I don't have to deal with, I can still obey God in the scriptures that I loved before. I just know Him better, and I know who He really is, and I don't have to believe in these pushed on books, so I don't know where I'm going with all this, other than the fact that that's one of the best rewards, is just knowing the truth. But then you share it with very few that will accept it or understand it or even care, and or just think you're nuts. So that's what happens. Even according to historians and people, that even Yehoshua, even Joshua, Jesus was Yehoshua, even he was. People thought he was a drunk. They thought he was drunk or insane. Even his own brothers, before, were not convinced. They became converted after they saw him resurrected in a new body, or he revealed himself in his new body. Because obviously they did not recognize him until he had to say who he was. So that kind of stuff is interesting as well. I guess I'll leave it at that. Let you guys think about that for a minute. So and then, well, how can you be a believer in Jesus, Yehoshua, Joshua, and believe in his testimony and everything and what was done with him, and not want to pick up the New Testament? Or, how can you believe in this and then not call yourself a Christian? Because Yehoshua never declared the Christians, okay? They weren't calling themselves Christians. It was the way. They were following the way. Paul made up Christian, okay? whether you want to think he's legit or not, if your Savior, Yehoshua, was going to give a title to what was being made, would be made new, or a new covenant, which is just reestablishing the old covenant, so it's not really a new covenant. That was going to be made, then it just doesn't make sense that he wouldn't have declared that name before he went up, and he would have declared it himself. I believe he would have declared it, and they would have taken that. But no, they took what his own words, and they called themselves followers of the way, the truth, and the life. Okay, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. Nobody comes to the Father but through the Son. Okay, that's just a fact. So even if you want to follow Paul or not as relevant or as a real legitimate apostle, he wasn't even one of the 12. They rejected him, as a matter of fact. But with Paul, if you want to follow him and accept him as legit, that still doesn't mean that just because he placed a title on people that they had to go with it, calling themselves Christians. Did Christ declare that? Did your did Yehoshua do that? Did Yehoshua, Joshua, Jesus do that? Not once. Did God ever do it? No. So just because you drop a title doesn't make you evil, doesn't make you a demon, doesn't make you possessed, fallen away, or any of that you guys try to pull. I don't have to call myself. Did Yehoshua say, depending on your salvation was depending on calling yourself a Christian or keeping that name? No, not at all. Not at all. It's not titles. With him, it's not about titles. And if it's going to come down to titles, you better have them correct. You have them right names and correct titles. Alright, it's at Love Clark. I'm going to go. Love you guys, and I'm going to try to think about what to do today to stay a little more upbeat. Alright? Maybe I'll just go for a walk and take a nature video. That might be good. Get out. But it's been so hot lately. Maybe that's why, too. It's so humid. In this high desert, it's supposed to be dry, and it's so humid. And it's hot. It makes it miserable. So I've been miserable in that regard, too, because it's just so miserable. Nobody wants to go out in this. Not for a nice walk. Anyway. So, yeah, I'm drinking coffee. I wish it was Folgers, but it's the cheap Kroger brand. Well, it's going to be a long day, I think. You guys just remember that things get you down. Just keep going through it. It's all, pain is for growth. Pain is for growth. When trials come your way, the devil or Satan or the force of the universe that wants to test you and tempt you for trials to make you grow. Alright? So know when that comes at your way, and know it's a good thing, because it means growth for you. Or it means more suffering if you don't grow, because you got to grow up. And then once you grow up and strong enough, that doesn't bother you as much, or you grow up out of that area. So I think I need to grow. I need to grow up. I need to grow up. I'm trying to grow up. Up, but I've just went through, in the last 3 years, I've gone through multiple cycles of reevaluating my spiritual path, reevaluating, resetting the spiritual path, reset so much when I find new truth, and then I find old falsehood, and I find it to be true, that these things are false, and I have to move on, and then I find out this is bull, and this is bull, and this is bull, and I have to reset. And the last 3 years, I've reset my path so much. I am tired of pressing the reset button. But if I don't, I'm always going to have, that's part of growth too. It's resetting your path. If you just thought you went to a straight and narrow and that there was no curves in the path, you're going to hit a tree, you're going to hit something along the way. Yeah. You've got to have something that steers you. If you get off path a little, you got to have something that steers you back. So it's not always straight. It's what you're trying to stay on the straight and narrow. It doesn't mean you can't veer off a little and then recognize it and use tools, use things to veer back. Okay, so don't be afraid to go backtrack, and get back on the right path if you find yourself down the wrong road. Or use your compass. Anyway, it's at Love Clark. Love you guys. Peace. Keep your eyes open, ears open, hearts open, minds open, and just open your minds more, people. Open your minds a little more to reality of uncertainty, and it's just sad. It's a sad world, and the sun's coming up, so I'd like to get off of here and get myself some more coffee and move around some before everyone wakes up and starts moving around, getting ready for school. So, love you guys again. Once again, I keep saying this, and then something else will pull on my mind to talk, but this time I'm going to really stop it. Okay? Love you guys. Love.